Nothing begins by itself. Everything you see was created. That is why you can't just come here and something will just be here. And so the Bible told us that everything there is was created. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, it said, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In fact, in Hebrews 11:3, it told us that this God that created the heavens and the earth also sustains all things by the word of his power. So creation is a proof that there is a creator. And so as far as we are concerned, the cosmological argument, which is the argument of creation, proves to us that God exists. The second argument is the teleological argument. And we said the teleological argument is the argument of design. Creation is not just random. Creation is so orderly. And we know that it will take a definite intelligence who has a purpose to create something that is so orderly. If you look at man, for example, see the way you function. Your hand has a purpose. Your leg has a purpose. Your mouth has a purpose. And then you have a complex brain that coordinates all the activities between your hand, your leg, your eye, your nose, your ears. Is that something that just blew out of a Big Bang? So it's Big Bang that created a brain that is so complex, that coordinates your speech, coordinates your intelligence, coordinates your emotion. As you are sitting calmly now, if somebody looks at you and says you are beautiful, you just start smiling. The brain immediately secretes hormones that brings happiness. And if somebody looks at you and insults you, you are infuriated. Same you can switch in 2 minutes from one extreme to another. And you say that level of design and coordination came from an explosion. This explosion needs to happen again. How come it has not happened since it happened last? So these are funny things. Some say man evolved from Homo sapiens. Why did we stop evolving? Because the last time we checked, we have remained like this. If we evolved from Homo sapiens and evolved into baboons, now we have evolved into us. Why have we not evolved into the next being? Why are we still like this? So those tales are just funny tales. The design of nature reveals God. Every day, when it's 12 hours, the sun is up. The next 12 hours, everywhere becomes dark because the earth is rotating around the sun. And then every once, 365 days of the year, the earth will travel around the sun once. Every 24 hours, the earth rotates around itself once. And you say that complex arrangement just happened from an explosion. No. The Bible told us the pillars of the earth are the Lord's. There's a being who controls what is happening here. Nothing is happening here on its own accord. Scriptures reveal to us that everything happening here, there is a power that is sustaining it. There is a power. And if you study Genesis chapter 1 from verse 1 to 30, the Bible reveals to us how God set everything in motion. If you study Psalm 24, verse 1 to 2, the Bible reveals to us how God regulates the activity of the earth. So the design of the earth is not without coordination from a God that is all powerful. Hebrews 1 verse 3, the Bible told us he sustains all things by the word of his power. So that's an argument of the existence of God. Number 3, we spoke about the ontological argument. This argument speaks about the essence of creation. You have seen that for time immemorial, every being is looking for a God to worship. What is that power that is compelling all of us to look for a God? Those who can't find the true God create one for themselves. It goes to mean that there is something on our inside that knows that there is a God, and it's because it's in us, that's why we are seeking God. Sacrifices to spirits have been since man became wise. The pursuit and the seeking of God has been since man existed. In fact, Paul visited a city and they had all the gods they knew. They still knew that there is one they don't know, and they created a statue for the unknown God. Who taught them that they needed to seek God? So this is an intuitive understanding. That means the subject of God is beyond debate. There's something on your inside that makes you know there's God. And the Bible told us that thing on our inside is the light of God. In John chapter 1 verse 4, it said in him was life, and the life was the light of men. And he said, the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. So every man that comes into this world has a measure of light in his spirit that affirms to him unconsciously yet intuitively that there is a God somewhere. Even the atheist that is arguing that there's no God, he's arguing that there's no God because he knows there's a God. Because why is he not arguing about other things that are not? Why is it about God that is arguing that there's no God? You don't argue about what is not. That you are arguing about what is not means something is suggesting to you there's something like that. Because apart from God, how many other things are they arguing about that is not? There is intuition. We call that argument ontological argument. And then we look at the anthropological argument, which is the argument of the design of man. The Bible reveals to us that man is created in the image and the likeness of God. And when we read our Bible, we see that some of the characteristics that we possess, both in our nature and in our actions, are consistent with God. For example, intrinsically built into us is a desire for good and a hate for evil. We see that that is also in God. Intrinsically built into us is a triune kind of existence, spirit, soul, and body. The Bible reveals to us that God is a triune being. So man's imagery and man's righteous character in his pure state reveals something about God. So that argument also is an argument that suggests and proves the existence of God. Genesis 1:26, it said, let us make man in our own image after our likeness. And then we have the biological argument. Since we came into this world, we have not seen life begin on its own. Every life comes from a pre-existing life. All of the organisms that exist, no one just appears. From the amoeba to the spiders to the snakes up until man who is at the top of the chain. No lion appears. No man appears. No snake appears. Any life you see came from pre-existing life. The question now is, where did the first man come from? It means there is an author of life that created that man. And the Bible revealed to us clearly, Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness. And he said, in the image of God he made him, male and female, he made them both. Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, it said God formed the man from the ground, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. So we know that the life of man came from within God. John chapter 1 verse 4, in him was life, the life was the light of man. So we came from a life source. And so our emergence proves that there is a God. Are you following this? I'm telling you this because you may stand somewhere and somebody will start telling you that what you call God is a fiction of your imagination. And what you call church is religion. Is born out of you are being brainwashed. And many Christians will be stranded. They won't know what to do. If they tell them, if you claim you have God, prove him. And it's not everywhere you can use miracles. Because if you use miracles, a magician will also come and do something. So they will tell you there are many spirits that empower men. There are places where you need to argue what they can see. And they cannot deny. It is in such corridors that these kinds of theological arguments become important. I'm reiterating it because it's important. Don't just sit and listen. When you leave this class, listen to it again. Let it become part of your consciousness. Apart from the fact that it has an impact on your faith and your consciousness, it will become a defense around your conviction. Because we have made it look almost as if Christianity is a mindless religious move. So we don't use our mind. If we are praying, it's like this. If we are singing, it's like this. And nobody is thinking. See, there is a what, there is a how, and there is a why. Any spiritual thing you are doing, and all you know is what, you won't have result. You are wasting your time. So don't just know worship. Don't just know prayer. Don't just know fasting. After you know what, also labor to know how. Because how is superior to what? It is from how that results come from. And then don't just know how, know why. It is from why that meaning comes from. So I can know what as prayer, and I will just be praying, but I don't know how to pray. I won't have results. The day I know how to pray, I will start having results. But I can have results and don't even know why I pray. So how produces results, why produces meaning and essence. So in addition to what, make sure you know how and know why. if your life will be impactful. And what we are teaching us here will be the foundation of how and why of God. We have the moral argument. There's a moral law in the soul of every man. So every man knows the difference between good and evil without being taught. Even a child. If a child insults you, it's waiting for, it becomes afraid. He knows he or she has done something wrong. Every being has that moral code inside him to discern between good and evil. And every man also knows that he has an intrinsic responsibility to uphold good and to stop evil. I told you that's why if you are sitting in the public and somebody slaps somebody and starts beating that person, you will see that naturally people will react. What did he do to you? Because we have that intrinsic responsibility to uphold good and to stop evil. Where did it come from? It came from our design. God was the one who put it there. And the Bible calls it the law of the conscience. In Romans chapter 2 verse 14 and 15, it says even if you don't have the law of God, it says your conscience is a law unto you. And on the basis of your conscience, you will be judged. It's God who put it there. Are you following this? And then finally we said we have the argument of congruity, which is the argument of agreement. Every argument about God proves in the affirmative that there is God. And so if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all affirm it, then it is true. Even the Bible said in the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, every truth is established. This one is 7 witnesses.